Okay, we are going to go through the Tools for Healthy Eating document, the presentation. So let's get going. This corresponds with chapter 2 in your book. So we're just going to go over a few tools that are readily available and easy to use. We got our dietary reference intakes, our dietary guidelines, the My Pyramid and My Plate program, as well as the nutrition facts labels on your food. So let's start off with the daily reference intakes, or I'm sorry, the dietary reference intakes. So these basically are made up of several different numbers, and don't worry about the exact definition of each one of these. I just would like you to understand the concepts of what they are rather than the exact definition. If you really need to know what any of these are, and you need to know an exact definition when it comes test time, you'll know where to find it. You know where to look it up in your book. Some of them are very close to each other and can be a bit confusing. So I'm a big picture kind of guy. So I just want you to understand what they are. Okay, so the first is the estimated average requirement, the EAR, for different values. So this is basically how much of a nutrient the average adult needs, right? EAR, estimated average requirement. That's pretty simple. That's how much your average adult needs. So that means, you know, your average person, if they get this amount of the nutrient, whether it's a vitamin or a mineral or whatever it is, they will be they should have enough for optimum health, right? So the next one is the recommended daily allowance. So the recommended daily allowance is a little bit higher than EAR. Really, that's the one we more want to look at. So rather than be the average of what people need, that's the what about 97 or 98% of people need to be optimally healthy, right? So the recommended daily allowance is really what you look at. Almost everybody, the large majority of the population, is going to be have enough of a particular nutrient for health, optimum health, if they get at least the recommended daily allowance, right? So on the other end of that, we sort of have the adequate intake, right? So that's an estimate of how much somebody needs for adequate health, right? We don't hear about this one very often. The one that's used a lot more, again, is the RDA. That's really your go-to number, right? Another one is the tolerable upper intake level, or UL. So this is about things that might be able to cause toxicity, or if you have too much of them, they can interfere with absorption of other nutrients. So that's the maximum amount you want to have of something, right? Another thing that's important to know is the estimated energy requirement. So this is how much energy, or how many calories every day someone should have, the estimated energy requirement, right? Because calories means energy. When we're talking about calories, we're talking about food energy. So that's what an EER is. Another thing that's very important is the appropriate macronutrient distribution range, right? The AMDR, right? Very, very important. So what you need to know about the AMDR is this is basically a part of the estimated energy requirement. So macronutrients are mostly the energy-giving nutrients, and you should know that you need 45 to 65% of your calories should come from carbohydrates, 20 to 35% of them should come from fat, and 10 to 35% of your calories should come from proteins. And we'll talk more about those whenever we get to carbohydrates and fats and proteins. But what I really want you to know is these numbers for the AMDR and what the recommended daily allowance is. Out of everything on this slide, those are the most important things. All right? Okay, so we'll go over quickly over the dietary guidelines for Americans. If you look in your book on page 36, there's sort of an explanation of this. But basically, the dietary guidelines for Americans are: get adequate nutrients within calorie needs. So basically, get all the vitamins and minerals and things that you need within the appropriate calorie needs, and don't eat too many calories. Okay. The other one is to maintain a healthy weight, and later on we'll talk more about weight management and things like that. The other thing is to get enough physical activity. The Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommends 30 minutes of moderate activity every day. You want to encourage whole grains, low-fat dairy, fruits and vegetables, those sorts of things. We want to avoid excess sugar. We want to watch sodium intake, not get too much sodium, and make sure we get enough potassium. We want to have either no or moderate alcohol use. And then we also want to watch our food safety, keeping our food clean, basically, to keep us from getting sick. So we actually have entire sections devoted to sort of each one of these areas, so don't worry too much about them now, okay? Okay. So then one of our other tools for healthy eating is My Pyramid or My Plate. So My Pyramid is a graphic design that shows how much you should have to eat of different types of foods. And last year, the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, they did away with the My Pyramid and they replaced it with My Plate. So really, honestly, the only differences between the two is it's just a different looking graphic, right? Either one shows how much of the different foods you should eat, and then you can look. It's a guidance system. It's a guidance system to help you determine how much of different foods you should eat, right? And it follows the dietary guidelines like we just talked about. In fact, really your first assignment is to go to the USDA website and make your own My Plate. So when you get to the assignment, you can worry about that. Go ahead and read up on this in your book, but that's basically what it is. It's a sort of a food guidance system. Okay, then an important thing to talk about is nutrition labels, right? So when we talk about nutrition labels, anything you buy in the store is going to have a nutrition label like this attached to it, right? So there are some important things that we want to know and understand about these nutrition labels. The first thing we're going to look at is what is a serving size. So in this case, a serving size is 1 cup, right? Serving size is 1 cup. How many servings do we have per container? We have 2 servings per container, right? So that means if we eat the entire package here, we are going to be eating 2 cups and 2 servings, right? And that's really important to understand how many servings are in a package and how large is a serving. For a package of, say, Oreo cookies, it might tell you that a serving is 6 cookies or 4 cookies. And so you know that if you eat twice that many, you're eating 2 servings, you're getting twice the calories, all sorts of things, right? So below that, you'll look at the number of calories. This shows how many calories are in 1 serving, not in the entire package, but only in 1 serving. So if you eat 2 cups of this, or the whole container, you're going to get 500 calories. And it also shows you how many calories you get from fat. So this particular food item has 110 calories from fat. Okay? So, next thing I'm going to do is I want to skip all the way down to the bottom. So we do all the way down to the bottom. The percent daily value that you're reading between here and here is all based on a 2,000 calorie diet. So if you are a smaller person and you're inactive, you may take in less than 2 calories a day. If you are a larger person and or are very active, you may take in much more than 2,000 calories a day. So for some people, they might easily take in twice this amount, right? I know athletes that easily take in twice this amount every day, and they are height and weight appropriate, and they're very lean, but they need to take in 4,000 calories a day. So keep in mind that all the values we're about to look at are based on a 2,000 calorie diet, right? So what we want to look at here, we've got total fat, which is 12 grams. That provides 18% of the suggested amount of fat for somebody on a 2,000 calorie diet, right? We've got that amount of saturated fat and trans fat. We'll talk more about those when we get to fat. Keep in mind we want to limit these. We want to limit these things, right? Cholesterol, 10%. This provides 10% of the fat for a person with a 2,000 calorie diet. Again, we want to limit the cholesterol. Same thing with the sodium, right? 20% for a person on a 2,000 calorie diet. That does not mean that, say, this product is 18% fat. Calorie-wise, look, it's almost half fat. 110 calories out of 250. It's almost half of the calories come from fat. But 18% of the fat recommended in your daily diet. Okay? Here, we can also see how many calories how many grams of carbohydrate we have, right? We can see how many carbohydrates it is for our what percentage of the recommended intake of carbohydrates we have for a 2,000 calorie a day diet. Same thing for proteins, same things for vitamin A, C, calcium, and iron. So this helps you really understand the food that you're eating and how much you're getting. Okay, nutrient content. when we talk about label claims that we'll see on food, there are other things on labels, claims that manufacturers may make. You'll see different types of claims. We'll see nutrient content claims, health claims, and then structure and function claims. And I'm not going to go over these in depth. Really, what I would like you to do is just make sure and read the portion on your book about that. That is right around page 48, 49, 50, somewhere right around there, maybe 51. It's got the label claims. There's a great chart on that too. I'm not going to go over that. You should be able to get an understanding of that from your text. If you have any questions, then feel free to ask on the discussion forum.